Inception is a 2010 film written and directed by Christopher Nolan. This video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, I would advise watching the film first before this video. Inception's basic plot involves a technique of breaking into people's dreams in order to steal their secrets, known as extraction. Our main character, Cobb, is perhaps the most skilled at performing this technique. For his last big job, he is recruited by a CEO of a major corporation, Saito, who tasks him with creating a team of individuals and doing what he does best. The catch this time around is that they won't be stealing information, but rather they must perform Inception, the idea of planting an idea in someone's mind through the use of dreams. They must break into the mind of Saito's rival Fisher, who is set to inherit control of his father's corporation upon his death, and plant the idea of breaking up the corporation, thus giving Saito complete control over the energy industry. That may sound complicated, but that is probably the easiest way to summarize this complex 2.5-hour film. So now that the basic plot is down, let's dive into the substance of the film. For a little backstory, Nolan has stated on several occasions when talking about this film that he has been obsessed with dreams for years, and that Inception was a vessel to talk about the relationship between dreams and filmmaking.
It took you so long to get this going, but how did it all come about for you?
It all really started from just an interest in dreams and the relationship with films and portrayal of dreams in films. And what I felt I'd never seen was the portrayal of a dream that you could believe in its reality. That is to say, one of the key lines in the film is dreams feel real while we're in them. And so I wanted to make a film where the experience of dreaming was addressed in that real way. So even as something extraordinary is happening, you're invested in the reality of that world. Because movies, I think, are one of the great ways in which you can open up a world for the audience and really take them someplace, take their minds someplace they might not otherwise go.
Yeah, and who really...
With that in mind, one of Nolan's intentions with this film was to subtly make the connection between the construct of a film and the construct of a dream. All the characters have roles that correlate to the filmmaking process. Cobb, our protagonist, is the director. He formulates the plan and executes it through leading his team. Arthur is the producer, who handles the assembly of the teams and the locations. Eames is the actor. He's a con man who portrays to the dreamer, or the audience, any character the team needs in order to capture their attention. Saito is like a studio executive. He funds the show and has final say on all decisions. Yusuf is the editor, who captures the magic of the dream and entices the mind of the dreamer. Ariadne is different. She doubles as both the dreamers, or us the audience, by being pulled into this world like us, but also plays the role of director of photography, designing the world of the dream like a cinematographer captures the world of the movie. One of the other notable things Nolan intended with this film is the idea of choice, which is what this video will focus on. Perhaps the biggest question of choice that comes out of this film at a surface level is whether or not it is morally acceptable to break into someone's mind and plant ideas. While the film never really addresses this issue, aside from a few side remarks about projections and killing said projections, it is still important to ask these questions.
Who are the people?
Projections in my subconscious.
Yours?
Yes. Remember, you are the dreamer. You build this world. I am the subject. My mind populates it. You can literally talk to my subconscious. That's one of the ways we extract information from the subject.
Are those projections just a part of his subconscious?
Yes.
Are you destroying those parts of his mind?
No, they're just projections.
However, the biggest question Nolan raises is whether it is acceptable to choose the reality in which you live in. For context, the reason Cobb is doing all of this is because he wants to go back to the United States to see his kids again. A few years back, he and his wife Mal were exploring the world of dreams together and got lost in them. Each character holds what they call a totem to remind them they are in the real world. Using Mal's totem, a top, Cobb plants the seed inside Mal's mind that accidentally leads to her death in the real world once they wake up. After this, he is forced to flee from the country or be arrested for her alleged murder. He misses the chance to see his kids' faces one more time before he leaves and regrets this decision for the remainder of the time he is out of the country. So the reason for all this exposition is that Cobb keeps Mal's top as his totem. If he spins the top and it falls, he is in a dream. Throughout the film, he spins the top every chance he gets to make sure he isn't dreaming. The entire film, he is in conflict with himself over the guilt of Mal's death and the choice of making his own reality. Mal's projection even physically argues with him to choose to stay with her in their own little dream world and be with their children again.
You're wrong.
Not wrong.
You're confused. Our children are here. And you'd like to see their faces again, wouldn't you?
Yes, but I want to see them up above, Mom.
Up above. Listen to yourself. These are our children. Watch. James? Philippa?
Please. Those aren't my children.
You keep telling yourself that, but you don't believe it.
I know it.
And what if you're wrong? What if I'm what's real?
Cobb's response that those children aren't his real children is his choice to go back and live in the real world. I think this is Nolan's way of saying that it isn't right to live your own version of reality, that you have to choose to live in the real world. Some real-life examples of this would be someone so caught up in their own self they forget the world doesn't revolve around them. Or perhaps a more relatable example is the tragic loss of a loved one and wallowing in the grief or guilt of losing them rather than moving on, such as Cobb learns to overcome in this story. In true Nolan fashion, though, he leaves that decision up to the audience with the final moments of the film. After Cobb and the team complete the job for Saito and go back to the US, Cobb's charges are cleared by Saito's money and he is allowed back into the country. He goes home and looks around at everything in disbelief. He puts his suitcase down and takes out the top. He spins it on the table to make sure he isn't dreaming anymore. However, just as he does this, the children's grandfather call out their names. Cobb looks up at his children's faces for the first time in years. They come sprinting up to him, and he picks them up and hugs them tightly. As this is happening, the camera slowly pans down to the top that is still spinning on the table. The top keeps spinning and spinning, and then the film cuts to black, revealing the title of the film. Nolan does this on purpose to make the audience question whether the top falls or not, begging the question of whether Cobb was dreaming the whole time. Though, I think people get too hung up on that question and forget the true purpose of the ending. Cobb didn't look at the top's outcome because once he saw the faces of his children, he made his own choice to accept the reality he was in. To him, it didn't matter anymore what was real or not. He just wanted to be with his kids again. Cobb, in a way, accepts what Mal was telling him to do, that whatever reality he is in feels real, so why can't he let it be real? Nolan decides not to answer this question, but leaves it up to the audience to decide. So, is it right to live in your own version of reality or not? I'll let you decide.